Hello, my name is Keeana Saxon, the CEO and founder of Kidogo Productions, and it gives me great pleasure to be here with SonJoria Sydnor. SonJoria, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
SonJoria is the founder of Our Families Doing Yoga, and when I found her, or actually I think it was Tanya Strickland, right?
Yes, she connected us.
Yes, exactly. Tanya Strickland is a virtual assistant extraordinaire, also Spellman's sister, connected me to SonJoria because she knew that I would like you. She knew exactly what she was doing. SonJoria, I've always been interested in peeling back the onion and getting to know our content creators who I have pulled onto Kidogo.tv. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name, as Keeana mentioned, is SonJoria, and I am a mom and a wife. I have 3 children. Currently, their ages are 2, 6, and 10. And prior to my 3rd child being born, I started, so let's go back to the pregnancy of my 2nd child. During this pregnancy of my 2nd child, I started to not feel my normal self. I didn't feel the same. And I knew something wasn't right. And so that feeling and that not feeling of myself connected me to mindfulness and meditation. And eventually I started to practice asana as well. So during this process, my 2 little ones, so at this point, my 2nd child is born and she's 2 years old. And now I know that I was suffering from postpartum anxiety or depression, but at the time I didn't know, and it was never diagnosed. So my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old at the time saw me practicing meditation, asana in like our hallway, and they would tune in. And they wanted to join. And at the time, I was not a certified yoga instructor, but I was an educator and a mom of 2. So I knew how to connect children, but I didn't know how to teach them this practice. So we were looking for resources to help support our home practice as a family, help me support my children in learning yoga. And we weren't finding any books that showed pictures of families or Black kids doing yoga. We also were like, I was getting a lot of my practice in from YouTube, watching YouTube videos. But when it was time to find YouTube videos for my children, I wanted to be sure that they saw themselves in the practice. And it was really hard to find videos of, definitely really hard to find videos of kids doing yoga. I think we may have found one, and those children were much older than mine, and hardly any Black instructors. And so I would just find like little clips, like 5-minute clips of adult people teaching yoga, and we try it, or we'll do a breathing exercise, but we weren't finding much. So I wrote a book for our family specifically so that we could have some type of representation about yoga. And we shared that, and we started to share our journey on social media and on YouTube. And there was an outpour of others saying they needed the same thing, and could I share yoga with their children? And so that's how it started.
Yeah, that is, I've listened to an interview of Ava DuVernay, and she was being interviewed by Guy Raz for the How I Built This podcast. And Ava basically said that out of abundance comes opportunity. And I mean, no, out of absence comes an abundance of opportunity. And so for her, she was saying that, you have to be able to fill the void. I mean, when you see that there's a gap, when you see that there's an absence of content, the moment that you recognize it, it's almost like it's on you to like do something about it.
Yes.
And so that's what you have done. I mean, you saw that there wasn't a lot of representation in the yoga space, and you said, all right, well, I will fill it. So kudos and thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
what's the name of your book?
So the name of my book is Our Families Doing Yoga. It's a wonderful book because not only is the like I'm biased, but not only is the content great, like it's not your typical yoga book. I have plenty of those that kind of go pose by pose. But what I really love about this book, and this is I I read books to my kids, right? I wanted something that told a story, something that you as a parent would feel comfortable reading to your child. And we know as moms that they have us read the same books over and over again. So if you're reading this book over and over again, I want you to enjoy reading it just as much as they enjoy listening to it. So it tells a story. But then at the end of the book, you'll find out that there are poses throughout the book, and you can play an I Spy game and go through the book and find the poses and try them. If you're an older kid and you're reading, it kind of breaks down how to do the poses. So that's my favorite thing about the book is it tells a story. It's not just your traditional, I wake up in the morning and I stretch my arms up high and now we're in mountain pose. And then you go to the next pose.
Well,
this is the book. So that's the book cover. Can you see it okay?
yes.
And so the book, if you go through the book, as I said, it kind of tells a story, but at the end of the book, we were really intentional about this. So there's the poses. So then you can go through the book and find the poses. And for the older children, if they want to be trickier and find the poses without seeing the pictures, they can do that. And then another great part of the book is that we share some of our favorite ways to practice yoga as a family. So we share some games that we play and the way we practice our breath. And a lot of people don't realize, but journaling is a form of yoga. So we talk about like how we journal. So I share a lot of those things just to give families some options and some ideas of how they can practice yoga because it looks very different. Now I am a certified yoga instructor and I have certification to teach children. And my practice with my class, if I'm teaching a yoga class outside of my home, looks so different than what it looks like at home. It looks nothing like that. And we shouldn't expect it to, right?
Right, exactly. Well, I was really drawn into your home. You open up your home on YouTube and you allow us to see yoga practices that you do with your family. And there is this one, the latest one that you did. I was like not just a visual, but this physical piece where they can see it moving and to make sure that they know that they're blowing. Is that something that came to you?
So the pinwheel started with being an educator in the schools and practicing mindfulness. There was the flower breath thing. And so they would always like just use a paper flower or real flower. And I found pinwheels on some site. And I was like, oh, we could use the pinwheels for flower breath if I place something here. So the whole pinwheel thing has adapted from so many things. It used to be like a popsicle stick with a cotton ball, and we would put essential oils on it and smell it. And then you flip it over and blow the feather. Like, so when I only had two children, that's what it looked like. It was like a cotton ball on this side and a feather on this side, and you smell the flower and you blow but it has evolved. So now, yeah, we have this wonderful pinwheel that I just stuck a flower in the middle of it. And she loves the visual of the pinwheel spinning. So
Exactly.
that's my favorite.
I'm trying to find ways. My daughter is 6 and I'm still trying to find ways of getting her to do things without making it feel like I'm telling her what to do.
Yeah.
So these creative things, that kind of embody the mind of a child or comes to the child rather than making the child come to it, whatever the thing is. I think it's just ingenious. And so then the language that you use in order to describe the downward dog and the upward dog, I mean, sometimes the yoga language is a barrier, not just to Black people who are not used to yoga, but just in general. You just have these long words and you don't really know what they mean. But you found this way of making it so simple.
Yeah, and that I have to accredit to my child certification in yoga. So I was certified for a couple of years. And when we wrote the book, I had a wonderful, wonderful, I sing their praises, a wonderful organization or a company called Yogi Beings reach out to me and ask me, are you certified with kids yoga? And I told her, no, I just do what I know. And this is work. And she's like, I would love to have you go through our training. And so I've done so many trainings with Yogi Beings, and that is their famous sun salutation for kids. And I even asked, like, can I use this like in my classes? And she's like, great. My kids love it. And as you can see through the video, my 2-year-old, like she can lead us. So when we're homeschooling in the beginning of the day, we do movement together. And if I ask her, Chanka, can you lead us through a sun salutation or will you lead us through movement? She will go through pretty much the bulk of that on her own. Like she knows it and it's so catchy and it's so I can't take any of that credit. I'm just sharing what I've been taught.
But you are sharing it. So we have to give credit where that's due. And so
Yeah.
how often do you guys do yoga together?
So that question, I'm going to paint a picture of, we talked earlier about how like a yoga class doesn't look the same as yoga in my home. So in my home, we homeschool a couple of days a week. We don't homeschool 5 days a week. We homeschool maybe 3 or 4. And during our homeschooling, we always incorporate movement and breath. So if we start a homeschooling day, if it's at the start of our homeschooling day, then we're going to do some movement, which is some asana, and we will do some breath. Then we end every day, every single day, 7 days a week, we will end with breath because as a parent, I found that was the most important thing for me. That was that one key thing that I wanted to make sure that my kids had with them. They understood that their breath is always with them. If you're frustrated, if you're afraid, if you're scared, your breath is always with you. In order for them to know that, we have to practice it. So at nighttime, we practice our breath before we go to bed, belly breath. We talk about gratitude, which is a form of yoga, so that they could, even if it's a hard day, there's something about your day that you offer gratitude for. So we talk about that at the end of the night. And we play yoga games. So that can happen any day. We have game night on Fridays, and I might throw in some yoga games in there. I might and because we're a family that does yoga and part of it is a business, then sometimes I have to just say, hey guys, I need you for a video. And then we'll do yoga that way. But for the most part, it's incorporated throughout the day, throughout our week in different ways. It's not like we start this way and we end this way. It's just little bit and pieces throughout the day.
That's really interesting. And so now I'm going to ask like a really, really basic question. What is yoga? So you've mentioned that journaling is yoga. You've mentioned, that breath is yoga. You've mentioned that. What is? I always thought of it as just your physical movement.
Yes, yes. So yoga is the way that we go within by connecting our breath with our body. And so it's all about awareness. When my 2-year-old and 6-year-old ask me, Mommy, why do you like yoga? I always tell them it's because, or why do you practice yoga? I always tell them it's because it makes my body feel good. So when we're practicing, anything can be yoga, anything that causes you to go within and basically be able to self-regulate, to be able to tune out everything else that is around you. Be aware of it because it's not going away. Be aware of it, but focus in on how you feel. Focus in on how your breath feels. Those things are yoga. So if you're journaling and if that brings you stillness and it brings you peace, then that's a form of yoga. It's so funny because asana was the last thing I enjoyed about my yoga and meditation practice. And I used to think that meditation and yoga were separate, but after getting my certification, I realized they are all the same. So I still sometimes say yoga and meditation because people don't know that they're the same, but asana, which is the poses, is just one piece to the many different branches of yoga. But yeah, that is really deep.
Oh, no, thank you for that explanation. There's a lot of synergy between our families doing yoga and Kidogo. Kidogo, we are trying to push out content and offer content to Black people around the world, basically, because I'm not only about African Americans. Or, to basically say that we are way more and can do way more than what mainstream media has told us. And I have these revelations every once in a while, and one of them just happened this morning. This morning, I was saying to myself, "There's no achievement gap. That's not the way that we describe it, or that we should describe it, because what an achievement gap means to the outside world or to the mainstream is that there's some sort of deficiency with us.
Yes.
There's no deficiency with us. There's nothing wrong with us.
We're achieving on a regular basis, right?
Your 2-year-old is phenomenal. There's no achievement gap.
Yeah.
Where the chasm is there are other people who have had way more advantages and way more subsidizing, and way they've been able to have the privilege of getting ahead, not because of who they are, but just simply because of what they have.
Yes.
And so anything that speaks to our inner soul, anything that affirms exactly who we are, anything that is able to bring us out of that feeling that there is a deficit, I'm all for it.
Yes, yes.
This is one of the reasons, like when I watch videos that you've done, it's like it makes your heart sing, because you're able to speak to the child in their most innocent and their most wholesome state. And that is the state that we should always kind of be in, whether it's, I don't know whether we can call it the vibration, whether frequency, or just the kind of a way, mentality, and mindset that we move through this earth. We have to be able to move through it while breathing.
Yes,
while being mindful, and while knowing whose we are, who we are, and what we are, and what we have. And so it's like you're giving all of these messages in everything that you do. It's not just that you're doing yoga for us. It's like, Black folk, of course, we need to be able to see ourselves in our highest, acting out in our highest selves.
Right.
But so do other people.
I am so happy that you shared that, because that's like been consistently on my mind as we're sitting here talking. And yeah, I shared that. Well, we know that the windows are the opportunities for those who do not live the typical life that we live, or who, in any sense, like, okay, as a Black woman, my life is different from my husband's. As a Black mother, my life is different from my friends. So to be able to have those windows of opportunity, to be able to tune in and offer, like, oh, okay, I see it. So I'm so happy that you shared that. I had a story from years ago, before I had children, way years ago. We were having movie night with coworkers. And I remember they were talking about favorite movies, and we were all going to bring like movies. And two of my coworkers were Black. And so when we talked about our movies, when they talked about theirs, we knew what they were talking about. When we talked about ours, they had no idea. And that was okay until we brought our movies. And I realized that they were not even interested. We watched this movie from the beginning to the end, and we know it line by line, but they couldn't even take themselves out of themselves to notice that this is something that's culture. Like, you want to learn about that. And so, yes, I'm hoping that we know that we're creating this content for our Black children to see themselves represented, because that is necessary for so many reasons. But also, yes, it is necessary for other people to see that we do exist and we're great, and get on board.
Right?
It's not just about you.
Not just, right, exactly. And you use the word windows, and I've often said, SonJoria, that windows and mirrors, and we talk about windows and mirrors in literature, but there's also windows and mirrors in all content, including videos.
Yes.
Videos are in some ways an easier way of seeing windows and mirrors.
Yes.
Because it's the access is just right there. Like, literally all you have to do is look.
Right.
And so I do find it fascinating that other people aren't at least curious. And and when I say when I talk about the African diaspora, I also want Black children to be curious about each other across the world. Mm-hmm. And so there are sometimes these internal tensions between people who landed in the Caribbean versus people who stayed on the mainland versus people who landed in Europe versus people who landed in the States. And so that's unnecessary. This is absolutely unnecessary. And so any way that we can kind of make these bridges and create the windows in which people can look in and which we can also see our reflection I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
All right. So we're on to the plugging. You got your book, you have a website, you have YouTube, you have IG. Go ahead.
Yes. So if you're looking to purchase our book, it can be purchased at our website at www.ourfamiliesdoingyoga.com. That's Our Families, FAMILYS, doingyoga.com. You can also purchase our book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble online, Walmart. I mean, we're getting there. Like, right. So there's a lot of different places, but the best place I'll send you to is our website. And if you're looking for us on social media or YouTube, you can find us at Our Families Doing Yoga. And our social media handle is at Black Kids Do Yoga. So those are some of the places you can find us. I recently launched a podcast called Tea with a Yoga Mama. And I just share a little bit, some insight, some tips, a little bit of our journey and why. And it's a lot, and it's really short. It's like 15 minutes per episode. So you can get in and get out. So you can find that on I think it's Amazon. If you're still doing Spotify, it's there, Apple, all of those different places. So that is us. And if you sign up for our mailing list, we have a new product coming out this spring, and it's really exciting. I sing my praises to the book and the illustrator of the book and how wonderful it is. This new product is something you might want to have in your home as well.
Oh, awesome. That is awesome. All right. Well, you can find Our Families Doing Yoga videos also on Kidogo.tv on our movement channel. And we are happy to have her along with other creators who are really have the same heart, the same passion for our kids. And we can find us at Kidogo Productions on IG. You can also find us on Facebook, Kidogo Productions, and on LinkedIn, Kidogo Productions, and I think Twitter. Twitter is Kidogo.tv or something.
Yeah, we're there too. I do want to share before Keeana goes. Yes. If you, just as I sent you guys to our website for our books,
yes,
Keeana didn't mention, but I want to share that our videos are available, as she mentioned, on Kidogo TV. I want you guys to go there because we talked about this safety thing. And I think it's important to share this. So I want families to understand that, yes, it is available on YouTube, but so much that we don't want our kids to have access to is available on YouTube. So I'm so thankful to you for creating this platform where I can log my child in and come do a live with Keeana and know that she's safely watching something while I'm doing this. Because of course I can give her a book, but how long is she going to sit there with that? She's going to want to watch a video, and if mom's going to be productive, then I need to know that she's safe and she's watching something that's entertaining for her. So thank you for creating this platform.
It's our pleasure, and it's my pleasure. And you know that we're both mama bears, so you know that we're also just trying to fill a need.
Yes.
All right, SonJoria, thank you so much. What do you say at the end of a yoga routine?
So I'm going to sing our song. Pretty much like, goodbye, friends. I bow and say, thanks for joining me today. Take with you the energy created in this space.
Perfect. I'm not going to say anything else after that.